And we're very, very lucky to have Dr. Ekant Veer here with us today. And Ekant is originally from Liverpool, but right now he's living down in Christchurch. He is the Associate Professor in the Department of Management, Marketing and Entrepreneurship at the University of Canterbury. He also is the world's foremost photo-taking guitar playing, cycling marketing academic with a blog dedicated to creating Indian food. Ekant's work focuses on understanding motivations and drivers of behaviours and how marketing theories and practices can be used to encourage behaviours that benefit individuals and society as a whole. So without further ado, Dr. Veer.
Kia ora koutou. Am I able to use this mic? I don't stay still. Is it on? Yeah. Good. No, it's not on. I'll let Kieran take care of that. I don't like using the word doctor when I'm amongst a bunch of health promoters. That actually means something here. A PhD, as my mum says, is a phony doctor. MD refers to money doctor. So I'm okay with Ekant. Please. There we go. Cool. I appreciate some of you went to university, some of you avoided university, so the idea of having a university lecturer come and talk to you for an hour just before lunch doesn't seem that exciting, but we'll try and make it exciting. Is it warm in here? Was the clicking and the clapping? Yeah, you okay if I take my jacket off? I'm trying to make a good impression by dressing up and stuff, but I can't be bothered. All right, and do I have a clicker? Here we go. Do we have windows that we can open, or they're playing with the AC? All right, that's cool. We'll try and make it cooler. Kieran did say if we get bored halfway through, then we can do a little bit of an energizer activity. That just might turn the heat up a little bit more, which might be a good thing. Might not be, but I'll try and get done. Plenty of time for lunch. I'm really excited to be back in the Waikato. I moved here when I was 15 from the UK. I did my university here at University of Waikato before I moved off, and I did my working career up in Auckland, as most young people do at the time. And I've travelled around the world since then. Went back to the UK. Got myself a wife from the Bear Plenty, took her back to Mother England. It's kind of what you do with the colonies, isn't it? You know, come over, grab a wife, take her back. Anyway, in the 10 years or so I was away from the UK, either the UK got worse or New Zealand just got better. And I thought, this is not the place I want to raise my kids, and so we brought them back. Except instead of coming back to North Island, we kind of missed and ended up in Christchurch. Landed Christmas Eve 2009. 6 months in time for the earthquakes. We didn't want to miss any of the action. No one told us about that at the time. We might have chosen another place, but no, we're very happy there now. We love it there. And I want to talk about this topic. Diana contacted me and said, we'd really love to talk about this topic of social media and health promotion. It's something that I think a lot of you are probably struggling with, and the way it works. The work I do very much is with younger people, younger generation, and technology interface, but also that role of social media, not just as a place where you can update your status and put a selfie up, but the actual motivations behind that and how we can use that for positive well-being in society. So it's a bit small, I apologise. So some of the problems, I like to try and frame my talks around this idea of what are the tensions that we're dealing with, what are the problems we're dealing with. Diane, are we able to make these slides available to everyone at some point? Yeah. Perfect, so you don't need to take notes, just listen to me. There is this massive increase in social media use in New Zealand. Between the ages of 25 and 35, 60% of people check their Facebook before getting out of bed. All right? This is how often they check Facebook. Not a case of, oh, I might log on every couple of days. Before they get out of bed in the morning, 60% of 25 to 35-year-olds check their Facebook. That's awesome. I'm one of those. I'm not even, actually, no, I'm not even between 35 anymore. That sucks. I'm going to change the statistic. None of you are going to check it. Between 25 and 36, 6% of people check their Facebook. And it's seen as a positive means of connecting people, of bringing people together. It's seen as a really good thing by some people. Other people see it as a really negative thing because it's not connecting people physically, okay? We don't have time to go into a whole lecture about the nuances of technology adoption, but we can if you want in question time afterwards. But there's a relatively poor understanding, especially by action groups, as to how we can leverage social media in the best way possible to reach people, and to reach people in an effective, engaging way. And so that's why I'm trying to try and ease that tension. Lots of people using it. We don't really know how to use it. Let's see if we can get it better and get everyone healthier in
35 minutes or so, and then questions afterwards. No, we'll work it out. There's also this fear associated with doing a bad job. Because if you do a bad job, it can ripple through the organization's brand, ripple through the organization's perception in society, whatever it might be, and people are kind of scared about, oh, well, I don't want to get into an area that I have no understanding about, have no concept of how it works. So we'll try and engage you with a few tools today, try and build it up in a way that hopefully you can go out there and develop the products, the platforms you use. Now, I sent some reading out beforehand. It was behind a paywall, unfortunately, so some of you might not have been able to access it. But if you get a chance to do that reading, it is just a very broad overview of how internet is used in health. It's not specific to New Zealand. It's not actually specific to any health medium in particular either. I didn't think it was a great article because it didn't tell me anything new, but at the same time I'm working at a level that might be beyond some people. So if you've never worked with the internet, especially with regards to health promotion, take a look at that reading and I'll give you an idea of Web 2.0, blogs, that sort of thing. We're going to specifically talk about the main forms of social media in New Zealand, that is Instagram and Facebook. Okay, Twitter tried to take off, didn't really take off. Snapchat has taken off, but I don't think you're going to be able to use Snapchat in an effective way for health promotion. You might be able to, but Facebook and Instagram are probably the two biggest social media platforms in New Zealand at the moment. That's used by the widest range of people as well. Is there an easy fix? No. There's nothing I can tell you that's going to make this easy. But there are tips you can use to improve the effectiveness you have when you go out to use social media to engage with your communities, engage with the population. There are strategies that will make you more effective, and I always say this, it is better to have no social media presence than to have a bad one. If people set up a Facebook page, they go gung-ho for a week or two, realize it's too hard, and then it sits there dead with nothing on it, people are going to look at that and go, that is crap. I want nothing to do with that organization. Because Facebook has this ability to rise to the top of people's search terms when they start looking for organizations and things like that. And if they go to your Facebook page or your Instagram page and nothing's been updated in 3 or 4 months, you're going to look really behind the times. Okay? So it is better not to do anything than to do a bad job. Let's get that out of the way first. Take that back to your bosses who are telling you get a Facebook page and change the world to say, actually, we need to get someone professional to help us with this, or we need to get someone who knows a bit about this. Don't just do a bad page. Here are the sort of tips that I have when you're setting up an organizational Facebook page or Instagram page or any sort of social media page. As always, start with your goals. The worst thing I have seen from a lot of health promoters out there with their social media pages is that they have become advertising boards. They have become a place where you say, here's this event, here's the cool things we do, here's the stuff that's really awesome that we do as an organization. That is not the point of social media. Social media, have I got a laser on this? Oh yeah, I do. The purpose of social media is to be social, okay? That means engaging people, that means talking to people, that means building a dialogue, that means talking about things that other people care about, not what you care about. I have an 11-year-old going on 21-year-old girl, and I kind of giggled at Joe's thing about the 21-year-old girl from Lincoln who said that her growing up was confusing, contradictory, and competitive. I think that's just young girls. I don't think that's sport. If I know anything about my 11-year-old, she is contradictory, confusing, and competitive, especially with her younger sister. But if I went to her, and my engagement with her is, I'm awesome. I'm your dad and I'm awesome. I don't really care what you think about right now because it's all about me. Here are the things I'm going to do today, and here's why they're important. Here are the things I'm going to do today, and if you want to come along, you can, but really this is about me. My relationship with my daughter is going to be very one-sided. It's not going to be a developing one. It really needs to be a two-way street where we can both engage with each other. She needs to be able to engage with me on things that she cares about, and I need to engage with her on stuff that I care about, and hopefully we can find commonality between those two things. Facebook, social media, Instagram, it is about finding reach. There are a lot of people on there, obviously. Reaching them with messages, reaching them with ideas, reaching them with content that's going to empower them, encourage them, help them develop behavior, strategies, whatever that's going to benefit their lives. But the way we do that is very different from the way you use advertising. So that's my next point. Avoid being an advertising board. As soon as you become an advertising board, people are going to switch off. Hands up who loves ads. Anyone? I'm a marketing professor and I hate ads. All right? I love Netflix because there are no ads. The content on Netflix isn't that good, But the fact that I don't have to watch ads is amazing, all right? The fact that I had to pay for Sky and watch ads felt abusive. That's ridiculous. Bye-bye Sky, gone. I will pay less for Netflix and avoid ads. The fact that I have to see ads everywhere I go, hands up who's wearing a branded shirt? Let's be honest, come on. There's a branded shirt, Active Well. Rugby, you can get away with that because we'll claim that's responsible. People are wearing brands on them, okay? How many brands are we exposed to every day in New Zealand? Anyone got an idea? About 3,000 advertising and branding messages a day we are exposed to. Now, human beings are exposed to these thousands of messages, thousands of ads, thousands of brands, and how many of you remember 5 from yesterday? 3? Probably not. Not much. We're very good at filtering out the rubbish, right? We're filtering out the stuff that doesn't matter to us. Now, the same thing happens on Facebook. As soon as you look like an ad, as soon as you look like you're promoting yourself, as soon as you look like you are doing this for the self-gratification of your organization, people are going to start filtering you out as being an ad. And as soon as you start being an ad, you start dropping down the engagement rates. Out of curiosity, how many people have a Facebook page for their organization or are in charge of their social media page? A few people. So you might know these things about the engagement stats they give you and things like that. It'll show you how many people have clicked on your post or whatever it might be. Those things drop off really quickly as you start promoting yourself more as an ad rather than a social media platform. Okay? Use social media to be social. Build relationships. Find a way you can connect with your people. Learn about people's issues. Build dialogue. Ask questions. Get feedback. Get them involved in your social media campaigns. Use this to help build your strategies. If you're using social media as a way of saying, here's our next event, come to our next event, you are only using it as an advertising platform and you're going to be switched off. But if you use it as we really want to do something in this community, give us an idea of the sort of things you love doing that bring you and Whānau close together. You know, what are the sort of foods that you love because we love X, Y, and Z? Okay? And then you use those foods at your next event. Unless it's really bad for you. And then suddenly we go, well, we can't have pork buns on the next event. But you know what? If you can do something that is good for the community and you can build a dialogue, things are going to happen much more effectively on your social media page. And then the last bit I've got here, show the human side of your organization. Nobody wants to go onto someone's Facebook page or Instagram page and just see the perfect side of them. Some people do that. You will have friends on your Facebook who only show the perfect pictures, only show their family in this happy little, all dressed up, and you know those kids are little shits, all right? But they only put up the pretty pictures of their kids, all dressed up nicely, behaving nicely. That is inauthentic. Now, especially when you're dealing with a younger generation, if you're dealing with younger people, inauthenticity is the thing that turns them off more than anything. When they get taken for granted, when they think that you can lie to them, that level of inauthenticity really turns them off. So show the human side of your organization. The example I like to use, the Times Higher Education is like the premier publication when it comes to higher education articles. They will post really hard-hitting stuff about student protests around the world, various university rankings, what these different professors are doing, blah, 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 blah. Really, hardcore stuff sometimes. And then they will put up on Twitter, we're about to have a spitball fight with the sports team, sports editorial team, who do you think is going to win between higher education and the sports team? And they will just have this engagement showing how they're just going to do something stupid. It's nothing human. Now, I wrote a paper on the role of Facebook and social media and how it allows us an opportunity to stare into someone's life, okay? We get an opportunity to see the stuff that maybe you don't get to ask in polite conversation. So, I'm sorry, man, what's your name?
Helen.
Helen, lovely to meet you, Helen. Now, I've just met Helen 30 seconds ago. Take a seat, don't need to worry about saying her. I can't ask Helen how many kids she has, that's a bit weird. I can't ask her where she went on holiday last year, that's a bit odd. I can't ask, maybe we talk about jobs, that's socially acceptable, right? What's your profession? What do you do? Maybe I could talk about family, whatever. 20 minutes on Facebook, if she had a vast Facebook profile, I could learn a lot about Helen. And that's what makes it addictive to some people, that they get to go and see Helen, blah, 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 blah. I'm catching up with a few high school friends this afternoon after this talk, which is going to be cool. I haven't seen them for about 10, 15 years. That'd be nice. I get to look through the last 10, 15 years and catch up. And I go, so, ding, 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 ding. Oh, see, you got 2 kids. completely forgot their names. Let me just remember. Okay, here we go. Now I look like a good friend. Are they still with the same girl? Wow, I thought he would have dumped her by now. Or she, whatever. I can ask all those awkward questions. I can answer all those awkward questions by going through someone's Facebook profile rather than having to ask them in an awkward situation. Now, if you as an organization don't show the human side of your organization, if you don't show what's going on, have pictures of your team there, have pictures of other people engaging with your team, show the human aspect, you're just going to look like an organization. And I don't care what John Key says, organizations are not human beings, all right? You have to be human. The humans inside that, the people, are the things that matter to people on social media. So when you're being social, show the human side, engage more, take more pictures of your team. How many of you are fans of selfies? Yeah, don't be embarrassed. My selfie game is on point. All right? I'm good at the selfie. All right, I will find a kitten and take a selfie. Okay, just to get the likes. Okay, selfies are an interesting phenomenon because a lot of people go, look how awful and narcissistic that person is doing taking a selfie. It's not even a good picture. Why are they doing that? But guess what? Younger people in particular, they don't see that as a bad thing. They don't see self-celebritization as being a bad thing. They don't see narcissism as being a bad thing. 150 years ago, the only time you could be famous is if you're a politician, in the movies, or a sports star, right? These days, you just have to be stupid and put it up on Facebook, and you can be a celebrity. And that feeling of attention, of celebritization, is very alluring to young people. When you don't put the human side, when you don't allow people to speak up, when you don't give the attention to people, because it's all very much a bland organizational front, you don't get the levels of engagement that you really want and desire out of Facebook, out of Instagram. So you want to try and encourage that. Be more human. Allow the conversation to happen that way. Don't worry about likes. This is a big one. A lot of you might be thinking, I've only got 500 people liking my page. I've only got 5 people liking my page, and 3 of them are my family. And then someone else, only 3 people. We got 20,000 likes. 20,000 likes, and you've only got 500. You losers. Likes don't matter. It is very easy. I can get you all 500 likes by the end of the day, very easily. All you do is run a competition to say, we would like you to like our page, share our page, and we will give $500 to someone. And I'll give you $500 just to see if it works. I'm not gonna. But we're gonna give $500 to someone who likes our page by the end of the day. And you will get likes, guaranteed. But guess what? Those new likes that you've got aren't gonna matter. They don't care about you. They care about the $500 prize. They care about the stuff they win. You have now gone from being an ad to being Lotto. Now, how many people love Lotto? They love winning, but how many people love the concept of Lotto? Probably not that many. Okay? Is there anyone from Lotto here before I start bagging on Lotto? Good, let me rag on Lotto. No. But this idea that you're a competition and therefore you'll get likes is not an effective way of growing your consumer base, not a way of growing your social media group. You need to get people engaged. And engagement refers to not how many people like your page, but how many people are actually paying attention to the posts you put up. How many people comment on the posts you put up? How many people share the posts you put up? How many people like those posts? That is engagement. Now, the example I like to use has kind of gone down the drain a little bit because Campbell's gone offline, but John Campbell used to be great at this because he could put up a post on Facebook. He had, I think when he just at his peak, was about 70,000 people liking his page. Huge number of people liking his page at the time. And he would put something up, and then suddenly he would get hundreds and hundreds of comments and shares and everything. Because John Campbell was fantastic at getting into the zeitgeist of the society, talking about about concepts that people cared about, and he was a human face behind it, right? So lots of comments, lots of shares. And he would put, usually it wasn't him, his PR team, would put inflammatory comments in there, Purposely go out and say, Māori don't need anything extra. Should we just ban everything to do with Māori scholarships or something like that? Just to get a conversation. Not if he agreed or anything like that, but it got people talking, okay? Now his 70,000 likes that he had on his page equated to far greater engagement because people were talking, people were engaging, people were sharing his posts. Countdown has about 240,000 likes, okay? over 3 times the number of people liking their page, and they have significantly lower numbers of engagement. Far, far lower. Because all Countdown does is, here's our latest special. If you like our page, we'll give you some free fruit. If you do, it is all advertising, and it is all about promoting them as an organization. While Campbell was very much about promoting issues that mattered to the audience. So when you start putting stuff up, you stop caring about what's important to you, you start thinking about what's important to my audience. Kind of makes sense? That's what drives engagement. How often do people comment or share is a key part. Liking your post is good, commenting your post is really good, and then sharing your post is excellent, because it means everyone that person engages with is going to see your post as well. That's the ultimate. That's what you really want. You want people doing the work for you. You put up something saying, here's our latest event, or don't we look like dorks, but it's Friday, we don't care. Very valid post. I would encourage you all to do that. Don't blame me if it backfires. Right? No, but that's the human side of things. And see how many people share it. Okay? See the sort of things that people talk about. That's what you want to get. Encourage dialogue. One of the things that a lot of people don't do, especially organizations, is they have statements. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is the event coming up. These are the things that we think are important to society. But that's not how you build engagement. If I was going to talk with Helen, this is Helen, right? I've got a bad memory for names. I'm going to talk with Helen and say, Helen, I'm an associate professor. That's not really a way of starting a conversation. Say, Helen, what do you do for a living? That's a way of starting a conversation. I'm an associate professor. What do you do for a living? The same with social media. Talk to people on social media as if you are having a conversation. Ask questions. Get those questions into your posts. Encourage people to talk. Now, it feels awful sometimes, because if you've got a Facebook page, you'll know this. You will see how many people have seen that post, and then you'll see how many people have responded. So you might see 200 people have seen it, no one's liked it, no one's responded. You go, oh, that sucks. That's kind of life, unfortunately. It is kind of how it works. But it is one of those ways that you can build engagement. Comments, as soon as someone comments on your post, it suddenly boosts up the rankings. Now, Facebook has got this really funny algorithm, which will help explain for some of you why your post may not be doing as well as you thought. Let's give an example. You've got 500 people following your page. When you post something up, Facebook will send that post to 10% of your population. They will send it to 10% of your likers. So 50 people will see that post. If in that small group, no one likes, comments, or shares your post, it doesn't go to the other 450. Facebook kills it off there and then. Okay? So you need to get traction really early on. You need to get people talking. If you get 1 or 2 likes, or if you get a comment, it'll go to another 25% of your population. If you get more comments there, it'll go to everybody else. So this is why people will say, hey, I didn't see you posted that. How come I didn't see that? That's really cool. I wish I'd seen that, because then I could have engaged with it. It only goes to a random number of people to start with. So you've got to build traction. As soon as someone comments, it goes to a larger number of people. As soon as someone shares, it goes to everyone. So this is why you ask questions, because you want to get people engaged. Now, you can fudge this a little bit, and I don't encourage you to fudge it. You really want it to be organic. When you're starting out, you should fudge it. It's okay, fake it till you make it. And post something from your page, and then get someone who you are friendly with to write a comment, just to get the things going, just to build that traction. Once you've got 2 or 3 other people talking, you can let go, and that train will keep going with the momentum that you have set up. Okay? Now, this is another reason why you should never pay for posts. Okay? And some people do this, they pay for likes, or they pay for posts, and things like that. What you are artificially doing is making your status, your product, whatever you're putting up on Facebook, you're artificially making it visible to lots of people. Now, if you do that, people are thrown in your face with your status, and they have no way of avoiding it. And so they always assume it's there. While the organic, what we call organic growth, the organic visibility that comes from not paying for it, means that not only are you doing a good job, but also it's not forced upon people. Again, you force something upon people, it's like someone stopping your news article and putting an ad in front of you. Okay? When you can't read a news article because there's an ad, or you can't watch a TV show because there's an ad, people get pissed off. You don't want to do that. Kind of makes sense? How are we going for time, Karen? I don't have a watch anymore.
5 to 12.
5 to 12? Ah, sweet. Let's see. Post more than text. Let me give you this example, and I'll get Kieran up to do a little bit of an energizing thing, so you're probably getting bored by now. Instagram has really taken off in New Zealand. It's taken off because it's a very visual format. People love pictures. People in New Zealand in particular love pictures. People love to see imagery. But don't just post pictures. Don't just post professional pictures. Don't just post stuff that is visible. Post stuff that matters. Post stuff that's meaningful. Let me give you an example. In my spare time, I like to take photos. This is a photo I took. Oh, it's a little hard to see. This is a photo I took. It took me about 3 hours to drive out to this spot in the Port Hills. Not the Port Hills, in Banks Peninsula. About 10 k's of gravel road. Felt like I was going to fall off a flipping cliff getting up here. It was about 3 a.m. in the morning when I took this photo. Milky Way rising over this beautiful dead tree. You know, awesome. Took me ages. Posted up on Facebook. I've got about 1,200 people who like me on Facebook. 12 likes. Piss off, 12 likes. That's much better than 12 likes in my mind. Now, I posted this on a couple of photography pages as well, and I got plenty of likes, lots of love there. But on my Facebook page, 12 flipping likes. Now, that's a picture of me and my daughters. I can't remember what this was. I think it was like a barbecue or something like that we'd had. We just had some people around our place, and I'd passed out on the couch with my youngest. My eldest has got a head in the book. My wife's sitting there on the computer and takes a picture of us, puts this horrible Instagram filter on it and sticks it on her Facebook. My wife has, I think, about 300-400 friends, so still a fair size whack of friends. I've got 4 times as many friends, and she's got 60-70 likes on this. All right? That's a bad picture. Professionally, that is not a good picture. The framing is all wrong. It's not even a level, you know. No one wants to see our feet. Who wants to see feet in a photo? That's just bad portraiture. Theoretically, as a photo, that's wrong. But what it did do is engage people. Because it's a cute photo. It's the sort of thing people go, oh, when McKay is 30 years old, she's going to remember the time snuggling up with her daddy on the couch, and we've got a visible memory of this. When Kessie is 25 years old, she'll remember how she used to always have her head in the book, and oh, I remember you kids were like that growing up, my mum would comment and stuff like that. It is something that draws you closer. This is the professional side. This is something that might be a good picture, but it doesn't engage with people because it looks too professional, right? This was instant. This was real. My wife posted it before I'd even woken up, okay? And so people could say stuff while, and I check my Facebook and I've got all these notifications like, what the hell's going on? Oh, God. That's the way you use pictures on Facebook. Don't necessarily show the professional shot of our event that happened 3 or 4 days ago that you put all the effort into. Show the selfie of the people having fun at the event at that time. Saying, we're down by the lake, having a great time at this event. You know, great to see so many people down here, okay? Have fun. Show the instant human side. That's what social media is about. I hate pictures of coffee. There is no value to pictures of coffee. Absolutely none. But when I see someone has taken a picture of them drinking a coffee, or just even a picture of a coffee mug, well, you know what? Not even a proper coffee, a picture of a Starbucks cup, and suddenly they got 40 likes or something like that. The reason is not because that's an amazing cup of coffee, it's because they've attached to that some sort of meaning that connects people. So glad to have a break after a busy week, chilling with a coffee at Starbucks with my mate, blah, 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 blah. Or going on a date with my wife, blah, 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 blah. That's what connects people. The image is used as the vehicle to connect people to where they're going. So use images as best you can. Kieran, get us energized. I learned how uncoordinated I was. Go back and show your kids, I bet you they get it. All right. The last few things I want to talk about before opening up for questions, and I want to have as much space for questions as possible because some of you will have questions, but I'll hang around for lunch as well and help you guys out one-on-one as well, is these ideas of how do we actually reach your audience. Give us some practical tips that we can help, that we can take away and reach your audience. Overcoming negativity is a huge part of social media. Some people are a little bit afraid of using social media because there's this thing called trolls, right? Anybody heard of what trolls are? Trolls, they range in variety from mischievous, silly posts here and there that just try to detract to people who are actively trying to bully other people, okay? I have a PhD student at the moment who is spending 3 years of her life just understanding trolling behavior. What are the motivators behind trolling and how we can effectively combat it. This is not something that's simple, it's not something that's easy, but here are some few tips if you do have negative comments. Use social media to position yourself positively in the eyes of your audience and encourage dialogue. The worst thing you can do, and I'll talk a bit more about this in the next slide, the worst thing you can do is shut down dialogue. As soon as you start shutting down dialogue, guess what? People are going to say, why are you censoring us? Why are you trying to shut us down? I've been banned from a few Facebook pages. I got banned from Labour's Facebook page. Let me tell you that story. I was running a project on political gaffes and marketing gaffes in the last campaign. And Labour had a fantastic one, and I felt so bad for them. I tweeted them and I Facebooked them and said, hey, have you checked out your latest slogan? I don't think you really thought about it. But their badge was, at the top it said, I'm in, and underneath it had Labour. I said, did you just put out a badge that says I'm in Labour? Guys, I mean, who's your marketing team? Maybe you should replace them with adults. I don't know. But I might have been a little bit more aggressive than that. No. But I said, I'm in Labour. Do you think that's the best slogan to be using to try and win this election? And they banned me. Straight away. Kicked me out. Banned me for that. Labour had a policy of having no negative publicity. Let's talk about this, actually. Let's go on to the next slide. Labour had a policy of having... Oh, no, have I missed it? Okay. No, Labour had a policy of having no negative dialogue on their page prior to the last election. Anything negative got removed and the person who said something negative got banned. Guess what that does? Me and my mates started talking about it without them knowing. And they had no opportunity to reply to it. And that's the same thing that will happen with your organisation. As soon as you take their voice away, then it's almost impossible for you to engage with them on that negative side. Now, if they're saying something actively racist, disgusting, nasty, absolutely delete it and say, you're breaking the rules of our page, we don't want to have that sort of negativity or that sort of bullying here, and remove them. Make it very clear why they're being removed. If they're just being negative and said, oh yeah, went to your event, kind of sucked, okay? Don't go back and say, well, you suck. Okay? I know we want to. Well, you make your own fun, don't you, Tim? Okay? Don't be sarcastic. Go back and say, we're really sorry you didn't have fun, we'd love to hear about how we can make things better, why don't you come and have a chat with us? Do your best to engage with them, make sure other people know you've engaged with them, and then do your best to take it offline. As soon as you take it offline, guess what? A lot of them will go, oh yeah, can't be bothered with that. I just wanted to sound like I was being cool. But they don't really want to give you feedback in any real way. But make sure you take it offline. Find ways to connect with people, find ways to engage with people, find ways to look like the good guys. Unfortunately, most of you are working in the area of health and health promotion, correct? That means you're not the good guys. I hate to tell you that. You are doing good things in the community. But they're things we have to do, not things we get to do. Not the fun stuff. Oh, alright, I guess we'll do exercise. You know? It's generally not the sort of thing that people go, yes, I get to eat less today. Now, as much as Joe doesn't like Sharks in the Park, Sharks in the Park has made it awesome for getting kids to run around because they get to run around. They have found joy in running around. And I know as adults we kind of look at them and say, we don't need a bloody device in order to run around. You can just run around. Well, kids haven't really worked that out, okay? We have got a generation, especially the under 12s, who are device heavy. They are surrounded by technology. If they don't have a device that's this big, they've got a device that's this big, and if they don't have a device this big, they've got a remote control that opens a device that big. You know, we are constantly entertained. Doing nothing is not acceptable. It is not acceptable to be sitting there without being entertained. While I know in my day, and definitely in my parents' day, doing nothing was just part of life. Just sitting down and going, shit, we don't have power. You want another kid? Yeah. That was kind of how it worked. Well, today, people are constantly on their device. Now, this in some ways is a very bad thing because kids don't know how to entertain themselves right. They don't know how to entertain themselves without their device, but it's also a good thing because we're developing a generation of kids that are going to be the best multitaskers this earth has ever seen. They're going to be able to juggle multiple things at multiple times, and they're going to be able to do it in multiple ways. They are more connected than ever before, and as a result, we're going to have a very powerful generation, but a generation that doesn't feel like they have their own time because they're always with this or they're always with that. Now, Sharks in the Park gives kids a chance to have their own time while still being connected to what they think is normal. Okay? Now, it's not that it's wrong, it's just that our values are different from theirs. Their values are different from ours. Okay? And it's the same with when you talk to your parents. Their values were different than yours. Same we're having with our kids. Our values are different from them. And as soon as parents say, well, we did fine without technology, go into their house and see what their furniture is pointed at. The TV, right? They have the same issues. They watch TV, our kids have the internet. Okay? And their kids are going to have something else. Something crazy, I bet you. Little enamel things pumped into their teeth so they can just fill their heads with holograms. That'd be cool. All right. You need to find solutions to New Zealand's health issues, right? That is your goal. You need to find an effective solution to help people get healthier in New Zealand. Not an easy task, but it is something that you can do. But Facebook is not the way to do it. Facebook is a medium that you can use as part of your various other platforms in order to engage with people, draw closer to people, get to know your people better. Almost more like a market research tool and a relationship marketing tool than it is as an advertising tool. And build bridges with the wider population. As soon as you start looking at something that is separate, that people don't want to be engaged with, people are going to start switching off. They're not going to follow your page. They're going to start leaving you. Okay? And we don't want that. You need to know your population. You need to know what gets them going. Unfortunately, again, as health promoters, you are low down the list of people they seek advice from. Sometimes you have very good advice, and they think that advice is very good. Most of the time, in actual fact, you have very effective research-based advice that is really, really good. But people don't see it that way. They see it as stuff that they have to do. Or they see it as stuff that, that's good for you, but you don't know what it's like for me. And so a lot of people will turn to Whānau first, or they'll turn to the internet. They will go on, what else? I've got friends. They will seek advice from other people before coming to you. The GP used to be the person, he or she would be the person you go to for all your family's issues, right? You know, it wouldn't be just the person you go to, I'm sick, fix me. It's kind of turned into more of a transaction these days. And if you go to your GP and you are overweight, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get the talk. It's like, now, Ekant, I know that you've tried well to lose weight, but you're still a bit fat, okay? Now, that might not be what my GP says, but that's sometimes how it comes across. Because we're thinking about these things ourselves, right? Now, if you're a health promoter, if you're out there trying to encourage healthy living in New Zealand, unfortunately, you're going to be seen that way as well. As much as you know in your heart of hearts, you're there for the benefit of the other people, you need to find a way that you can actually make them feel part of your community, make them feel engaged. And this is why my mum can come to me and say, Ekant, you're fat, lose weight, and tell you about it. Yeah. And you know what? I know my mum's doing it from a place of love because she's shown love years and years and years and years in a row. Now, if you come up and say, Ekant, I really want to find some solutions to help you lose your belly. You're 36 now. Heart disease is on its way, my friend. We want to make sure you're there for the family. All these positive messages we're told will work. I'm going to say, who are you to call me fat? You could lose a bit of weight yourself. Okay? You don't respond. You don't respond well. So we've got to find a way we can build bridges into the community, and if we can do that through social media, then it means that whatever messages you put out subsequent to that are going to be received much more effectively. It is a stepping stone for your other campaigns, for your other engagement campaigns. You're inherently dealing with topics that make people squirm. They don't like talking about the stuff that you want to talk about. Heart disease, cancer, weight, BMI, all these other things that people don't really want to talk about. A lot of it's based on research, which to us might be seen as a very positive thing. Unfortunately, to a lot of the population, not seen as a positive thing. They see research as being something that's a little bit too confusing and something that's done to make their lives worse, not better. Some of my ideas. So when you're using social media for health promotion, what have I got here? Focus on building bridges into the community, which I've said. Be the friendly supporter. Don't go out and tell people what they should do. Go out there and say, how can we support you? How can we make your life better? I work very closely with the New Zealand Mental Health Foundation. I work very closely with a number of mental health advocacy groups as well. In Canterbury, we've had a bit of a crappy time with the earthquakes, and we've had a lot of issues with regards to mental well-being. So we've been running the All Right campaign down there. So I'm part of the advisory board there as well. And one of the issues we have with mental health is that people don't necessarily want to get help, because then you have to admit that you have a mental health problem, right? We did a survey a couple of years ago, specifically with men, because men are a problem, as we know, in general, but mental health in particular. 86% of the men we spoke to said they would be happy to be a supporter of someone who was struggling with a mental health issue. 86% of men said, I will be that friend, I will be that brother, I will be that father, I will be that son to someone who needs me. Only 8% said they would ask for help. Now that is a massive, massive problem. Because we might have a fantastic primary healthcare system, but if people aren't willing to put up their hand and say, I need help, or I'm going to admit I can't do this, I need you to help me, then we're in real trouble. They're not going to access that help. So you have this primary opportunity now where you don't need to wait for someone to come to you and admit that they can't help. You can actively go to them in their homes, on their phones, on their devices, and you can infiltrate their minds with little tidbits that we're going to help them. Now, if you're dealing with topics that are inherently a little bit stigmatized, a little bit squirmy, then it's quite interesting, because you will see how many people have read your article, see how many people have seen your post, and then you can compare it to the number of people who actually engage. Now, whenever we put up something about mental health, a lot of people read it, engage with it, see it, but they don't want anybody else to know they've done this. So they don't click on it, they don't comment or anything like that. Okay, that doesn't mean it's a bad article, it just means you're dealing with a topic that is inherently making people squirm a bit, and they don't want other people to know that they're looking at this. We're working with a bunch of parenting tools at the moment, and how many people love it when other people tell them how to parent? Yeah, that's fantastic. Nobody wants to be told how to parent their kids, because I'm the best parent, all right? You don't know my kids. When we put up a post about parenting tips, lots of people read it. Everyone is desperate for new ideas, but no one wants to admit that they need new ideas. You know what I mean? The same with the stuff you're doing. So when you start doing that, when you start seeing people who are reading your article, but not necessarily liking or commenting, it means you're touching a nerve. People are engaging with this. They want to hear more, but you need to present it in a way that's going to get them more engaged and more people sharing. So don't lose heart when it comes to that sort of thing. Break down barriers between you and the population by incorporating them into your social media use. Encourage people to take selfies. Encourage people to tag themselves in your events. Encourage people to put themselves at the heart of what they're doing, what you're doing. So this very broad group of people here, so I don't know exactly everything you guys do, but we can bring this up in the question and answer sessions. But if there's any opportunity for you to engage your community into your posts and get them tagging themselves as part of what you do, and using hashtags on Instagram to say, I'm at this event, or I'm working on this, thanks to these people I'm able to do X, Y, Z, that's when you know you're starting to build better bridges into the community. And it is possible, it has been done in the past, but it won't happen if all you do is advertise to people. So the key takeaways I want you to take, 10 minutes, cool. Key takeaways, this is my last slide. Social media won't fix your problems, don't try to use it to fix your problems. Just because there's a billion people on Facebook doesn't mean a billion people want to hear what you've got to say, unfortunately. Social media is not a cheap advertising platform. It is not a way of advertising to people, it is not a cheaper form of advertising to people. If you really want to do this well, we're looking at 3 to 5 hours a week of dedicated time on social media alone. Now that's almost a day's work for someone. If you're a millennial, that is way more than a day's work, let's be fair. Social media is not about social media is not about how many likes you have, it's about the engagement you have. Social media is a cheap way to build relationships though. It is much easier to put out a status saying, would love to see more of you at our latest event, or would love to hear what your ideas are with regards to X, Y, Z, or what are your tips to improving, getting your kids to eat vegetables, something like that. Really good way, rather than driving up to someone's house, trying to make an appointment, getting an hour of their time, blah, 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 which is kind of the old school way of doing things. Social media is a great way to co-create knowledge with your, with your community, get their ideas incorporated into what you do. It is a great addition to the wider marketing campaign. Do not use it in isolation. It has to be part of your wider marketing campaign. And social media is about engagement. That is all I want to talk about. I want to hear your ideas. So I'll get Kieran to run around because he's far more energetic than I am. Yes, ma'am.
So we've just started a Facebook page. It's called Bodywise Waikato. We'd love you all to like us. But that's not my question. My question is...
It's a bit of advertising, that's what it was.
I'll say it one more time. Bodywise
Bodywise
Waikato. I'll be checking later tonight to make sure you like it. Do you have any recommendations on how often we should be posting and what time of day we should be posting?
Yeah, Facebook will, after you've posted for a bit, Facebook will do an analysis of when your supporters are online, and it'll say, here are the perfect times for you to post. So it gives you some feedback. Generally, you need to know your population. Like if you're primarily targeting young mums, for example, then 10 to 11 is probably the best time to post, because it's the time that mums have a chance to breathe, because either the baby's having a nap, kids are off to school, whatever it might be. It's not late enough in the day when they start going, oh crap, I need to pick up the kids, or something like that. Evenings is also another good time. So after 6 o'clock is another good time, because even though you might not have a lot of people on at that time, there'll be people who have their phones nearby while they're putting the kids to bed or having dinner, whatever it might be. Remember, if you posted it, say, at 9, 10 o'clock at night, that's probably not the sort of thing that people want to engage with after a hard day at work. I'm assuming that, you know, the population here. And so you don't get that traction, you don't get those instant likes and comments, and therefore by the time the morning rolls around, no one's going to see it. You know what I mean? So the timing is really specific. But usually in New Zealand, 10 to 11 is really good for non-working stay-at-home mums, and then 6 to 8 is really good for the majority of the population. You can schedule your posts to happen at different times, so you don't have to be online. I worked very closely with the Red Cross in Christchurch with their social media campaign, and also with GeoNet. GeoNet is the sort of go-to site we go to whenever there's an aftershock. We're like, oh, was that a 2.8? Oh, that was a 3.3, woo! And GeoNet and Red Cross have a very different perspective on social media. Red Cross had this perspective that it's part of their daily routine, and they only post between 9 to 5. GeoNet posted whenever there was an issue. Whenever they felt they needed to engage, they engaged. So my friend Sarah, who was in charge of GeoNet's social media campaign, she would post wherever she was in the world. As soon as she saw something or heard something that was important to people, there's an aftershock, she would post up, hope everyone's okay, you know, we'll get you the results on how big that quake was really soon, take care of yourselves, check on your neighbours. Very human sort of post for a very scientific organisation. While Red Cross would post something at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to do with an event that's coming up, and they wouldn't know why they're not getting the same level of engagement. Because 2 a.m. is when people are thinking about this, when there's an aftershock, not 2 p.m. You know what I mean? So timing is very important, but it's not a 9 to 5 job. It is something that you kind of have to engage with at all times of the day.
And
yes?
how often would...
Oh yeah, how often? That really depends on the sort of things you're doing. When it comes to content, the way I like to create organizational pages is that you post maybe 3 or 4 times a week is kind of a good number to start with. And one of those things is about you. The other 3 things or so are about stuff your community cares about. So if you're looking at Bodywise Waikato, and I'm happy to chat with you afterwards, let's say this is about exercise, is it? I'm sorry, I don't know enough. You can brief me. Let's pretend it's exercise. Okay. Then 3 times out of your 4 posts, you talk about, you link an article from the New York Times or something like that about the improvements in education and educational results as a result of exercise. You link something from UK about how proper nutrition has helped X, Y, Z, you know. And then the 4th one, or one of those 4, you kind of say, here's a recipe we've come up with to help you with your own detox program, whatever it might be. Why don't you check it out on our website, okay? That way you can still advertise you. You can still put stuff out about you, but it's in amongst a whole plethora of posts that are about the community. And so you don't look like an ad. You don't look like an advertising board, which is all about you. It's a little bit in between. Is that kind of cool? Oh, here we go. Yeah, please.
I've asked this of a few marketing gurus.
Don't call me a guru.
People.
That's even worse.
I kind of feel that Māori population communities engage differently.
Absolutely.
With social media. Have you got any evidence behind that?
Sure. So Māori and Pacifica as well engage a lot more on a community basis. We know that. Their posts are less about them, and they'll post more about whānau. The posts are more about connection. The posts are more about being part of a collective. As a result, social media becomes very much about here are the achievements that we have done as a collective. Here are the things we should be proud of as a people. And you can incorporate that into what you do. How many of you actually heard of the All Right campaign in Canterbury? A few people have heard about All Right campaign. All Right had a very ethnically homogenous campaign. What's the polite way of saying it? A very white campaign to start with. And it was cool. It had like cartoon characters and stuff like that, and you could like rip off little things off the posters and say, give them to people as a little, inspirational slogan, you're the light of my life, and you can leave them on their desk. It's very cool. It really bombed with Māori people. It really didn't work well, because that's the sort of stuff they do all the time. They're always affirming, they're always connecting, sort of thing. And so we created a campaign specifically around what ways we can encourage Māori to be proud to be Māori. It's something that a lot of young Māori people aren't feeling. They're not feeling like it's okay to be Māori. So we found a lot of ways that we can help them say, not only are you Māori, but you get to be Māori. You are privileged that you are Māori because you have all the things that make you powerful, that make you important to society. And here are all the things that have gone before you that make you important to our people as a result. Now, if you can incorporate that into your social media and say, give us 2 or 3 ideas of one way you've managed to, encourage today or at home. What are ways that we can encourage other people to see Māori as being a powerful group that can add value to the society, whatever it might be? The achievements of the people rather than the narcissism of the individual is something that I would say is much more important. Does that kind of resonate with what you're feeling? Okay. All right. Good, because I'm glad. If I got it wrong, I'm stuffed. You can tell me I'm wrong later. Other questions?
How many administrators would you recommend
On a Facebook page? It depends on the size and the importance of the Facebook page, but I would say if you can dedicate 3 to 5 hours for a small, like a Facebook and an Instagram page per week, it is about appropriate. So you're looking at a part-time position per day is kind of where you would be. If you are using social media as your primary way of engaging with people, like you have no other marketing, then you're looking at almost like a part-time job. You're looking at 9 to 3 every day for the week. You don't necessarily need to put a lot of money into it. I would discourage people using money to pay for advertising and stuff on Facebook, and I can talk about why that's useless a bit more later. But I would say it takes a lot of time, and it doesn't necessarily happen between the hours of 9 to 3. This is why I think young people in particular are so good at this, because they don't use Facebook 9 to 3. They use it any time of the day, and so it's always incorporated into their life. So it's much easier to get someone who is a younger person to incorporate it into their normal social media use, say, oh yeah, I better post something for X, Y, Z while I'm here, rather than someone who's like, oh, all right, now I've got 3 scheduled tasks this week, blah, 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 blah. People don't want to see a scheduled task. They want to see what is instantly happening right now that is important to me. What's something that's current, kind of like the picture of me falling asleep with my kids. That's far more important than something planned for social media. Yes?
Legalities around Facebook.
Yeah.
If you happen to create a page, but not under the organisation you work for,
Mm-hmm.
Can an organisation force you to close their page or take ownership of their page?
It depends exactly what you're saying and how you're doing it. Now, legally, no one can tell Facebook what to do, and legally, no one can tell you what to do unless you're doing something that inherently makes you look like you're part of the organisation. So let's say you've worked really hard for 2 or 3 years to develop a Facebook page about how much you love John Key. All right, because we know that's something that we all want to do. So you make a Facebook page about how much we love John Key. Now, John Key can't come and say, we're going to take that now, all right, because it is a fan page. Now, if you create something called National Party New Zealand, they can stop you because you are posing, or you might confuse people as to whether you are the official National Party page, you know what I mean? So if you call it and you act like the organisation, they do have the ability to take it down and take it off you, because it could come into the realms of advertising confusion, and that is part of the advertising standards in New Zealand.
We'll just take one more question.
One more question. But I'll be around for lunch. Someone told me free food, that's the only reason. Cool. Well, thank you. Hopefully you have learned something. It's a lot to cover in an hour. But feel free to hit me up over lunch and I'll be happy to answer any specific questions you have.
Ekant, Veer, ladies and gentlemen.